Hello, everyone. You are listening to Cinema 5000. It's me, Mallory. This is my podcast. We're talking about only 3 films on this episode. Haven't had a chance to watch a lot of movies in recent times. I was doing a little bit of Oscars catch up here and there, and you'll hear one Oscar nominated film discussed on this episode. And otherwise was just kind of busy, so it happens. But luckily I did make a trip to the theaters, but we'll talk about that first film soon. Let's start with the numbers. We're at 5,729 films, so only 271 films to go. And I think we could do that within this year. I think there's a good shot of that, hitting the 6,000 by the end of the year. But where do we start? We start with Ex-Husbands from 2023, directed by Noah Pritzker. This is just now getting its theatrical release. I think it's somewhere of like a high-end limited release that this film experienced this past weekend. I know this played at film festivals in 2024. And I saw that my local theater had it after I noticed that it was coming to an AMC theater, and that not like in a close distance, in a distance that was like, within reason of, when you search for movie theaters and what's coming, it comes up on the list. But yeah, so my theater got this and I was like, might as well go. So the summary goes like this. Manhattan dentist Peter Pierce is facing a midlife crisis after his wife of 35 years leaves him. On the spur of the moment, he books a trip to Tulum, Mexico, only to crash his son's bachelor party. This stars Griffin Dunne and Rosanna Arquette as the couple, the Pierces, who are separating and about to get divorced. And if those names sound familiar together, Griffin Dunne and Rosanna Arquette both star in the wonderful film After Hours, directed by Martin Scorsese. And here they're doing like a little, reunion of sorts. But yeah, they're getting divorced. So Peter, who's Griffin Dunne is playing, he's a dentist in New York City. He's just gotten his own apartment because of the marriage ending, and he has 2 sons. They are played by James Norton and Miles Heiser. So Nick, played by James Norton, is the groom-to-be, but in the beginning of the film, we sort of get hints that things aren't so great for him. His life, as it is, he's working as a waiter, and we see that his fiancée, she sends him off on his trip, but what he doesn't know is that not through like any huge coincidence or whatever, like he probably mentioned it to his father a couple of times, but his father, Peter, also booked a trip to Tulum, Mexico on his own, staying at a hotel, but at the same time that his son is going. And his son is just kind of like, what? Why would you do that? And he's just kind of like, well, I just booked it. And he's like, you knew, didn't you? He's like, no, I didn't. It's like, no, he knew. But his brain, probably told him essentially he should do it. But he tries to defer and say that his father, Simon, who's played by Richard Benjamin, is the one who actually told him to do it. And his father is now living in a care facility. He's been alone for some time, and you can tell that he is of an older age, and he's been going through something where he's not, with all his faculties that he had in the past, because there's some back and forth at the beginning of the film, like 6 years ago here and there, where his father, Simon, mentioned that he wanted to divorce Peter's mother. So there's this thing within the film about men and their relationships and how they take things or don't take things and what they're kind of doing in their life. And sort of caught in the middle is Mickey, who is younger. He's in his 20s and he's just come out. So he's now trying to go through life as an open gay man. And he's still young. He's the youngest guy who ends up showing up for the bachelor party in Mexico. And as luck would have it, of course, Nick and Mickey are on the same flight as their father, Peter. But when they get down to Mexico, they're not staying at the same place as him. But Nick feels Like, he should maybe include his father here and there. And it's not like anything dramatic or very comedic or anything. It's just kind of him saying, hey, maybe I should include my dad. He's down here. It's a coincidence and a strange one, but it is what it is. As this movie moves through the notions of men examining their lives, we learn things about Nick and things he's been going through with this marriage to be and his relationship. And he's having a personal crisis of sorts, and I won't spoil it, but James Norton, the way he portrays this character, Nick, he's very much in tune with his emotions, but also very aware that he can't lay it all out on the table for the guys around him who are just having a good time. There's a group of different kinds of characters, and some of them more, goofy than others. But at the same time, Peter is down there, and he's kind of experiencing his first like trip alone as a single man to be. So he starts to, just figure out, what I'm going to do. And he meets some folks down there, and they have conversations that are interesting, and what is he going to see for the sights, and he ends up bumping into like a friend of his. So it's sort of movie kind of things that you get in a small independent film, or somebody goes somewhere and it's like, oh, hey, how are you? It's just conversational kind of things. But I think this movie has a really good grasp on how it examines people and the changes that they're going to be getting ready for in their life, and how that makes them feel. Like, there's a lot of emotional stuff to do with the text of this movie, and then how the actors portray the emotions and how they sort of are learning to come to terms with what their futures might hold. I found this to be a touching film, not an overwhelming film, not an overly dramatic picture. It is not a movie that wants to be goofy and funny either. It's just about adults trying to figure out what their life could be, with the future that's ahead for them on the road of either matrimony or the loss of, a relationship, or what do they want? What's going on? And I liked this. This was a nice picture. And nice is not like a bad thing in this case. I think it just really wants to talk about people and examine them, and with all the pieces moving about with the different characters, I think it keeps its head on pretty straight and not trying to over exaggerate some people. Like, all keeps things kind of grounded, and I like that movie about the movie. It really respected the people, even those who were causing maybe some theatrics or some chaos within the bachelor party situation. But good performances by James Norton and Miles Heiser. I hadn't really seen him in anything before. They were both quite good, and Griffin Dunne was good. He's been in a bunch of movies I've seen, so I was kind of expecting him to be on this level of who this character was. But I think specifically James Norton as Nick was a very memorable part of the film, because he's at a crossroads here, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I will recommend Ex-Husbands. Says 2023, but a 2025 release theatrically, directed by Noah Pritzker. I gave this 3 stars, and when I did see it, yes, there were people in the theater. I was expecting nobody. I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to go. So I'm going to have a good time. And yeah, it's a nice movie. Up next, we have Memoir of a Snail from 2024, directed by Adam Elliott. The tagline is, life can only be understood backwards, but we have to live it forwards. Forcibly separated from her twin brother when they are orphaned, a melancholic misfit learns how to find confidence in herself amid the clutter of misfortunes and everyday life. Grace, the main character, is voiced by Sarah Snook, and her twin Gilbert is voiced by Cody Smith McPhee. I have to say, this movie, Memoir of a Snail, oh my goodness. It's a very dour animated picture. Like, anything and everything you could think that could happen to someone who loses a twin and maybe isn't coming from the best home life situation. It's one thing after another, and I have to say, like, a big warning about this one. Don't go into this thinking this is going to be some kind of joyful picture, because it's really not. And I'm going to keep this review really quick, because I'm left with feeling like the script of this and how the story unfolds for Grace and her brother Gilbert really overshadows the animation and the nice nice again. The just the quality of the animation and how it works with the storytelling, unfortunately. I just constantly like was shaking my head at how much heaviness was added to this, and it just felt a bit needless, because there was no break. There was no break from that heaviness. There was just a couple things here and there that had some slight humor, but I found this to be a very strangely overwhelming experience because of how much misery and suffering this had. And I don't recommend this. I would say watch it if you're into the animation. Like if you're thinking this look at clay and how it works. I mean, there's some great work here for sure. But as an experience, as a viewer, I just can't recommend it because of how the story goes about telling this tale, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going with how much horribleness can happen to an individual, and it's really unfortunate. I have my limits. I mean, I don't mind a dramatic, depressing story in a film, but for this, I questioned what the point was, like how much it had to have that just kept going and going with this kind of sorrow. So Memoir of a Snail from 2024, directed by Adam Elliott. I had to give this 2.5 stars. I couldn't give it less because I can't really say it's a bad film, but I could not give it more because 3 stars is kind of my limit of like, if it's 3 stars or more, I would recommend it, and I can't recommend this. And I'm seeing that like on Letterboxd, it has like a 4.1 rating, but like I have friends that I follow on Letterboxd who did not give this positive ratings too, and I'm glad I'm not alone in sort of feeling like there's just too much in this. It's also 94 minutes long, so it's not like a short animated film where it feels like, okay, maybe it's just overwhelming because it's short and it's all it takes, but it just keeps going and going with all the sadness in this. And yeah, melancholic misfit. No, not an understatement there. Yeah. That was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, and of course it did not win. That went to Flo. But yeah, let's talk about the last film we're going to discuss. It's Dr. No from 1962, directed by Terrence Young. The tagline is, "Now meet the most extraordinary gentleman spy in all fiction." Agent 007 battles mysterious Dr. No, a scientific genius bent on destroying the United States space program. As the countdown to disaster begins, Bond must go to Jamaica, where he encounters beautiful Honey Rider to confront a megalomaniac villain in his massive island headquarters. It's a fun time. I had never seen this Bond film, and through some time, I know it's going to take a while, but my sister and I, after watching the Oscars and the Bond tribute, we figured, hey, let's just go through the motions of watching all the Bond films that are out there in order. I've seen some of them, but I've seen all the recent ones for sure. You know, your Daniel Craig's, your Pierce Brosnan's. I've seen some of the Timothy Dalton ones, and I think I've only really seen, I want to say only one Roger Moore one, but I have seen a couple of the Connery ones, but I had not seen Dr. No. I liked this. This was fun. It's clearly not a very, how shall I say it? It's not a very polished and giant production of a film. It's really kind of going through the motions of like the spy activity, like the things you kind of expect from, you know, James Bond, where he he's in his room and he hides out and he expects someone to come in, and then he flips them over and he, you know, points a gun at them and he's like, "What are you doing here?" and this and that. It's all the stuff you've come to know in the film series. But this laid the groundwork. This was the first of the James Bond films, and they shot it in Jamaica and then interiors in Pinewood Studio. Great set design, great use of characters. Dr. No himself, who's played by Joseph Wiseman, very reminiscent of other megalomaniacs you can think of in present times. But I have to laugh because I had never seen this one, obviously, but all the references on the Austin Powers films, the ones I didn't know, are in this one. And yeah, it's fun to watch this. I have a lot of respect for the 1960s because there was sort of this era of film that was happening that was on the verge of telling you a little bit more in the experimental range. Like the 50s, I don't think of experimentation film at all, but like this like had you know, the large sets. It had like a little bit more colorful characters, a little bit more you know, artistic invention, like just pushing the envelope a bit more. In the 70s, it goes like even more crazy when it comes to just the freedoms the filmmakers were given more. But like this is like the beginnings of just big pictures, big worldwide pictures. And James Bond is like, I read something Probably back in the 90s, in like a Guinness Book of World Records, that the James Bond film series is so popular. Half the people in the world have seen at least one James Bond film. I wonder if that statistic is the same or if it's more or less, but you can tell from the framework of this and how the characters and the storytelling is done that the mark James Bond left on the film industry and just on people in general is there. And like, even when we meet Honey Rider, you know the moment when Ursula Andress comes out of the water and she's got the swimsuit on with the belts, and it's just like, it's iconic. I think the word iconic gets thrown around too much these days, but when you look back and like what this did, it's like, this is iconic behavior. This is filmmaking that is so exciting and fun and goes for broke, has the little quips in here, the little, cheeky Bond moments. It's the beginning of something really special and fun, and for better or worse, this is the movies. This is what it was. So I recommend Dr. No. I gave this 3 stars. It was a fun time. Great music. It looks great. It's a nice, fun, nice. It's a very entertaining and joyful time. I was actually surprised how long this one was. I thought it was only like 90 minutes, but it's just under 2 hours. It's 110. But the way the story goes about James Bond going to Jamaica and like him him getting into a car and he already knows that the guy driving the car is out to get him, it's classic stuff. I can't wait to watch the next one we're going to watch. It's From Russia with Love, and I haven't seen that since I was a teenager back in the day on VHS. Luckily, my library has a number of the DVDs, but I'm just going to watch them in order and tell you and report back on the ones that I have not seen before. So in the rewatch recap for this quarter that comes out in early April, I'll talk about From Russia with Love. I think that's the only one of the early Connery ones that I have seen. So yeah, that is the episode. Nice little quick one for you. What's coming soon? I need to dip into DVDs of stuff I haven't seen before. I don't know if I'm going to the movies this weekend. I'm kind of feeling like I'll be a homebody and not watch much of anything, but I have been meaning to watch The Front Room, which is on Max, the movie with Brandy, that's directed by one of the Eggers brothers. Yeah, Robert Eggers has brothers and they're filmmakers. And then I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I just have like so many thoughts about post Oscars, like what movies I should watch. Like, should I dip into watching more movies I've never seen that were nominated for Best Picture? Because that was the thing I wanted to do a while ago. Or should I make an attempt to just be more adventurous with my movies that I haven't seen from 2024, or again dip back into another thing I had been meaning to do, which was finishing up that horror list of things that I found for like Halloween, spooky season, whatever. I think I'm gonna do kind of all 3 things, and then maybe go to the theater. There is some horror movie that's coming out this week that has like John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush in it, and it's called, what's it called? The Rule of Jenny Penn. I only heard of this like last week, never saw a trailer or anything like that, and I kind of just want to see it without watching the trailer and just go to the theater on Friday night. But then again, I don't know if I'm going to go see Mickey 17. I have a really bad feeling about Mickey 17 that it's just not going to float my boat. But then I had the thought of like maybe just going to see The Monkey because it's still in theaters. I don't know. I think I will do my best to go to the movies on Friday night, just have that experience of seeing something. The Jenny Penn movie. I think it's about a doll or creepy stuff with a doll. I don't know. It's not often that you can go see a movie in a theater and have no idea about what it is beyond like a brief summary and just a photo. So I think I got to do that. I think that's what I'm leaning towards. But the following week is like Black Bag and Opus. I don't think I'll go see Opus, but I think Black Bag is a guarantee. That's Steven Soderbergh. So, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I'm Mallory. Thank you so much for listening. Go to cinema5000.com. That's where I'm uploading the YouTube videos. I'm also noting on the Bluesky, Cinema5000 is the handle, when I upload to YouTube. And of course, if you're listening this as a podcast, not on YouTube, all the regular places, Spotify, Apple, where else? Amazon. Why don't you subscribe? And also, if you're watching on YouTube and listening right now, please subscribe as well so that you get updates whenever I make uploads on there. But yeah, the Cinema 5000 website has the blog where I'll be noting updates there. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. Again, I'm Mallory. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.